here. We are here with John Faye. Welcome to the show, John.
Hi, Dave.
Thank you so much for doing it.
Thank you for having me. This is really, really cool.
Cool. I appreciate you doing it. I know we've been talking about it for a little while. Your name first came up. Let's see. The podcast is almost a year old now. And I think your name came up a few times from previous guests. You know, I'd be talking to them. Yeah, I'd be talking to them after
That's
like
very nice.
Yeah, after we did like an episode or whatever. We would talk before they would leave, and I'd be like, well, who else do you think I should have? And your name came up several times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice to know.
Yeah. And yeah, so I reached out. I think it was way back in March, and then because of scheduling and summertime coming, that's always a busy time for both you and I.
Yeah.
So it is now the end of the summer, September-ish, and yeah, we're finally doing it. So I'm glad
Autumn
you're here.
is the time for podcasting, man.
That's right. That's right. All right, cool. So all right. Funny little story, right?
Okay.
So today, and I'm a little bit embarrassed to admit it, right? Because I've seen you around the scene, and I've heard people say, "Oh yeah, that's John Faye. He was part of the Caulfields and all that stuff." And I was like, "Yeah, that's great." And I heard that, you know, I wasn't a big follower of the Caulfields, admittedly. I was back then.
You were in the majority.
Well, back then I was like a hardcore thrash metal guy.
Oh, right on.
You know,
Yeah.
and then, but. So today I'm doing a little bit of research, and I'm like, all right, well, let me look up the Caulfields and all that stuff, and then the song
Devil's Diary.
Devil's Diary.
Probably.
Yep. I was like, oh, that's listed as their most popular song. Let me listen, and I'm listening to it. And I'm like, I know this fucking song. And I liked that song. I loved it.
Thank you.
When it was out, like on the radio and on MTV and stuff, like, yeah, that chorus, dude, that chorus hits hard.
Thank you.
And I do love that song. Genuinely, I do.
It's one of those situations where you look back and you're like, yeah, we probably should have had the actual words from the chorus of the song in the title, but we were kids. We were dumb.
Right,
we were
right.
behind the ears. So like we were like, this is a very clever title. I really like this.
I think I've referred to that song or remembered it as I'm Bigger Than Jesus.
Oh,
Now.
everybody did. And so like, you know, I mean, I never try to, as to quote Oasis, look back in anger at things. And, you know, like you can't really second guess decisions that were made that may have possibly had an impact on how things went. I mean, the song was still obviously on the radio and a lot of places and actually a lot of countries. So like,
yeah, you guys did Australia.
It did right? Well enough, you know,
that's awesome.
to kind of
that's
like
awesome.
be the starting point of the career that I'm now at in 2025.
That's fantastic. So yeah, I think I saw that it hit like number 66 on the Australian charts,
like
and you guys did a whole tour in Australia.
That was actually one of the best memories of being in that band that I have to this day is being in Australia for that month. It was actually the month of probably late October into November in 95. And it's a beautiful country with incredible people. And, you know, to go to a place all the way across the world where your song is basically a hit is a pretty heady feeling. So it was just pretty cool.
Yeah, I've always wanted to go there. That's one of those bucket list destinations, you know.
Yeah, I recommend it.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit, and you know, I don't know how long we're gonna talk and how deep we're gonna dig, but we can do kind of whatever you want. But I am interested in kind of like how you started your musical journey, right? Because, you know, you've had such success in the late 90s, mid to late 90s. You're still doing your thing now. I know you've worked on a bunch of different projects and stuff.
Yeah.
So where did it all kind of begin for you, John?
Well, I think, you know, every musician's story begins with the music that you absorb when you're young, when you're little.
Yep.
And I was very lucky to have 3 older sisters, all of whom were a decade or more older than I am.
Okay.
So I kind of grew up listening to their record collection, and I think they had pretty decent taste for the time and place that they grew up. I mean, they were teenagers of the late 60s, so it was a lot of Beatles 45s and Beach Boys records, and then into the, you know, early 70s when I am like 8 or whatever,
Yep.
they were very into like the singer-songwriters of the time, your Carole King, your James Taylor
Yep.
type people. And I think that sort of when I think about it, it really gave me this foundational appreciation of melody and songwriting. And so even through my rebellious teens, and I was very into like punk rock as a teenager. I was
Yep.
huge into like West Coast hardcore and Dead Kennedys and bands like that.
Yep.
But I was always gravitated back toward music that had hooks.
Yeah.
And so
Yep.
that's kind of, I've put out a lot of records over the span of 30 plus years.
Yep.
And I think the through line is I know how to write a hook.
I love hooky music.
Yeah.
I love big fat choruses that you can sing along to and stuff.
Yeah.
So there were a couple of your songs when I was listening that really kind of grabbed my attention for that reason.
Thanks.
There was the one, crap. It's on, I guess it's like your last solo album. What's the title of that last
solo? The most recent one is called The Long Game.
The Long Game. The song The Long Game.
Yeah.
Fucking amazing.
Oh,
dude.
thank you.
It really is.
Thanks so much.
And the chorus to that and the lyrics, like I was in the shower and I was like, wait, what's that? Like it caught my attention while I was in the shower. It was great.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. So let's talk a little bit about. So you've kind of, you kind of grew up listening to music from your sisters and all that. I know your mom was a big influence behind the book. Right?
Yes, my mom was a big influence behind the book. She was not particularly a musical influence.
Okay,
but
I was going to say, did she have like, was she supportive of?
I would say yes. I mean, anytime your single mom lets you buy a drum set at 14
well,
and play it all day in your room and just like noise pollution all over the neighborhood, that's support.
Yeah, absolutely.
As far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely, yeah.
And, I mean, she put up with my band practices in our basement for at least a decade. In fact, I write in the book that I'm certain that we contributed to some pretty major hearing loss because by the time she was elderly, I would walk into like her den where she's watching TV and it would be so loud, man. And I'd be like, turn the TV down, like, I'm like, yeah, probably like all those years of listening to this noise in the basement. But, I mean, so I mean, I wouldn't say that my mom was a musical influence, but she was absolutely supportive, if like any parent would be, if concerned also at the path I was taking.
Sure.
I mean, most parents want you to have, the quote unquote secure
the stability.
career, stable career. But, when I look back on the choices I've made and, I mean, I tell people, sometimes people will say like, wow, you made it a pretty long time doing this. How'd you do it? I was like, well, no plan B. There's like, I'm not really employable in any other capacity. So
you've always pursued music your entire life.
Much. I mean, ever since I was like in high school, like I would say by the time I was a junior in high school, I was in a band that, while not good, took itself seriously enough to be like, we want to write songs. We were that kind of group.
Yep.
And that band was sort of the foundation of a band that I took into my college years at University of Delaware, which then later morphed into the Caulfields.
Okay.
So there was always, that foundational thing that just kept building until we had a band that I was pretty much the leader at that point, because when I started out, I was the drummer.
Okay.
And I also couldn't play anything else. So my songwriting by necessity had to be collaborative, because I'd have to go to a guitar player and be like, hey, can you play? And that was hard.
Sure.
So, I finally decided, like around the age of like maybe 18, I had a guitar. I was like, I need to learn how to do this. And at least play 3 or 4 chords so I can start writing my own songs on my own.
Right.
And that was kind of the beginning of that part of the whole equation.
Okay, and now, has it always been, you said you're single mom, has it always been your mom and you and your sisters? Was your dad
Well,
ever
I mean,
around?
so my father passed away when I was really young, when I was like 6.
Oh, that's tough.
So,
That's rough.
so it was my mom and my sisters up until my sisters started to go off to college, which wasn't too long after that. I mean, they were all teenagers when my dad passed away. They have a different father. They're half sisters.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So for a long time, it was actually just me and my mom.
Wow.
And, I eventually went off to college like 10 minutes away from our house at University of Delaware.
Yep.
And so for a lot of years, I mean, I was living on campus, but I was always coming home and obviously rehearsing in the house and that kind of thing. So she really was there for me pretty hardcore.
That's awesome.
The whole time.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the Caulfields, right?
Okay.
So you guys got together in college, right?
Yeah. I mean, so the foundation of that band got together in college. We weren't called that.
Okay.
Our college band was called Beat Clinic.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, and so that band lasted after college, and so I probably graduated. I was on like the 5.5 year plan,
Same.
I don't quite remember. I think I walked in like 1990. Let's put it that way. After many years of like, am I graduating? Am I not? But so I think around 1992 was when there was a personnel change in the Beat Clinic, which was sort of the driver behind, okay, we need to, well, the term rebranding wasn't really in the culture at that point, but that's what we needed to do. So we changed the name, and I convinced everybody in the band. I was like, listen, I have this group of songs that I wrote, and I think this should be the foundation of what the band is now.
Nice.
And so most of those songs ended up on our debut album for A&M a few years later. So we formed in 92, got signed in late 93. And then did the record in 94 and put it out in 95.
Okay. Yep. So what was the piece that got shifted when you went from the one band to the Caulfields? Was it like a guitar player?
The rhythm guitarist moved on.
Okay.
And so I needed to start playing guitar in the band.
Okay.
And part of it is like, well, if I'm going to start playing guitar, the only things I really can play are things that I wrote.
Right.
Anyway. So let's just do that.
Okay.
And
you were playing drums in the previous band?
We fired me pretty early on, and singing drummer is tough.
Oh, okay,
And while I did enjoy it, it was just it's not something that people want to look at. It's just a guy craning his neck, like a little gooseneck mic stand over here, and it's just not good. So.
I have flashbacks of what was Night Ranger when they were their Sister Christian video.
Oh yeah,
and I first saw the drummer singing, and I was like, "What's happening?
What is this?" Yeah, it's not a pretty sight generally. I mean, some people do it well. I mean, I was playing and singing okay, but I mean, my drumming, I believe, is like serviceable, but I'm not a great drummer. And we got a drummer who was like way better than I was, and it allowed me to just be the front man for a while.
You were just singing?
Yeah, for a while.
Gotcha.
And then when the other guitarist left, I was like, okay, well, now I have to play guitar and sing.
Okay. All right.
So that's when that started happening.
And then at that point, you kind of became the front man of the Caulfields.
Yeah, I mean, it became kind of like, okay, we're not co-writing everything anymore. Like, I'm writing the songs.
And everybody else was okay with that?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
They thought the songs were good enough.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it.
I was definitely a driver of the previous incarnation's material.
Okay.
It's just that I couldn't play it.
Right. I got you. That's cool.
I could sing it, but not play it.
Well, you got to lean into your strengths, right?
I'm a firm believer in that. Yes.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So then the hit song comes along, right?
Yeah.
How does that change like what's happening in your daily life? I mean, was that because as a kid I've always dreamed of like what would happen if I wrote a hit song? So walk me through that process if you don't mind.
Well, it was a pretty interesting situation because a band on a label, like, I like talking about this because it's so absurd, but like our debut album cost $140,000
Holy
to make.
crap.
And
Wow.
that's just because like that's just the way it was.
Yeah, sure.
Like
Yeah, back then.
if
Yep.
you were a signed band,
Mhm.
you by definition were sent
Yep.
off to a $1,000 or $2,000 a day
Mhm.
studio somewhere. We recorded our first record at a place called The Plant in Sausalito, California,
Okay.
which is pretty famous place.
I was gonna say, I think I've heard
Rumors
of
was
it.
recorded there.
Oh, wow.
A lot of
Yep.
like Sly Stone
Mhm.
basically lived there in the early 70s. Um, Prince did his first record there before he
Nice.
built Paisley Park.
Yep,
So
yep.
we were like, wow, okay,
Okay.
this is serious.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so, it took like about 4 months out there to make a 12-song record,
Okay.
which
And
again,
did the label like put you up in like a
yeah,
hotel or whatever?
yeah.
They did all that
Well,
stuff?
we rented a house
Okay.
in a neighboring town,
Gotcha.
so it was like a band house, but it was pretty nice.
Sure, sure.
Had
Yeah.
like a hot tub and like everybody had their own room,
Living
and
the dream,
it
baby.
was pretty much living the dream. And but of course, like the producer, um, he was like, "Well, this is right on the marina in Sausalito. I'd like to live in a houseboat for 4 months." So the label paid for that.
Oh, wow.
And then he wanted a separate engineer,
Oh, boy.
and he was in a hotel in San Francisco. So like
Yep.
all that money is just like
And
being spent on the daily.
and is this money that is being like fronted to you that you have to pay
Right.
from
So
record sales?
the way our deal was structured, and I think it's pretty common,
Mhm.
compared to other deals of its time,
Yep.
is that you get basically like a budget,
Yeah.
um, against which, I mean, you're supposed to pay it all back.
Sure.
You
Yep.
don't really think about that. You're
Yeah,
just
of
like,
course.
yeah, I mean, yeah, they're going to give money for this. Okay, let's do
Yeah,
this.
let's do it.
So this record, just the experience of recording it was just pretty wild overall.
Mhm.
And when you deliver a record to a label, there's all this back and forth. Well, what's the single?
Okay.
And to be honest with you, I was like, they're never going to pick Devil's Diary.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of weird. I mean, like it's just a weird song. The premise is weird.
Mhm.
Um, and then the president of the label came back and was like, "Yeah, that's the one." And I
Wow.
was like,
Nice.
"Oh, okay."
Was that what you were hoping for? Like, did you have a
I don't
favorite?
know that I was hoping for that
Mhm.
one. There's another song that I felt was actually more personal to me.
Okay.
A song that I wrote about my dad,
Mhm.
which I think is probably like the second most known song on the album.
Okay.
It was the second single.
Gotcha. Yep.
But they were like, "Yeah, we're going to do this." And so they start promoting Devil's Diary on radio stations. And luckily for us, like that we had the support of the two radio stations in Philly that
Mhm.
were like in the modern rock format. So
Back then, who was?
Y100
Yep.
and WDRE was still
DRE,
around.
yeah, 103.9.
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
And so
Awesome.
both of those
Mhm.
stations started playing it. And, the way this all works is that, you develop a story at these stations, and then the radio promoters in other markets go to those stations and are like, well, this is doing pretty good in Philadelphia. You should
Okay.
play this.
Yep.
And so we got, I think on the modern rock chart in the U.S., it cracked the top 40, probably made
Wow.
it to like 38
That's awesome.
for a few weeks.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
fantastic.
yeah, it was fantastic.
Mhm.
And it allowed us to, because, at the time, and a lot of radio stations still do this, but not quite as much as they did it in the 90s. Like every radio station had its own summer festival.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it's basically like what
Mhm.
MMRBQ is today,
Yep.
but at every,
Yep.
and it was,
The Y100 Festival.
yeah, the festival.
Yep,
We
yep.
were actually the first band to ever to set on stage at the Y100
Really?
festival, at the first one. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And so, we were going around the country playing a lot of these kinds of shows with
Mhm.
like, every band from that era that you could name
Yeah.
on the bill.
Yeah.
We did a lot of shows with like Collective Soul.
Cool.
Bush was new at the time.
Yeah.
We a lot of shows with Violent Femmes, oddly enough.
Oh, nice, nice.
So, I mean, it like that part of it was just like wild to us
Yeah, I bet.
because, you know, you're just, um, it was just going around and just, and it was different in a lot of different places, but like in certain places, like New Orleans, for example,
Mhm.
and like Atlanta, Milwaukee, like places that you wouldn't necessarily be like, oh yeah, we're gonna be really loved in these places.
Right, right.
You know, like the reaction was just otherworldly.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yep. Well, you
um,
also had both sides of that coin, right? Because you did an interview with another guy a while back, and I did watch part of that. And David Duke was at your one show
yeah, that's insane.
in
Yes,
the rural part of
in
New
Slidell, Louisiana. Yeah,
Louisiana. Yeah,
yeah. So this is the
the night
night
before the New
before
Orleans
the New
show.
Orleans
Yeah,
show.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
and that was scary
I
and
bet.
weird,
Yep.
and I mean, but when I look back on it, I'm like, of course that would happen to us. You know, like that was kind of like the private joke of our band is that
Right.
like, just accept that it's going to be weird.
Yeah,
It might
yeah,
be great or it might be awful, but it is always going to be weird.
yeah. That's
Which
fantastic.
was fine by me. I mean, I've the older I get, the more I lean into that.
Well, that's
Like
great.
those are the kinds of experiences that
Yep.
I'm interested in.
Yeah,
You
no,
know?
that's great.
Yeah.
And then so that's the first album, right?
Hmm.
Second album comes along, and
Yeah. So
what happened
again,
with that
so
one?
with that one, there was a lot of anticipation for the Caulfields at
Mhm.
A&M after Whirligig, our first album,
Yep.
because
Which turns 30 this year, right?
yes,
Yeah.
this is the 30th anniversary.
Yep.
So when we started to work on the second record, basically the process is we had to make demos and send them to our A&R guy.
Okay.
And the first batch of demos included, a couple of leftover songs that didn't make the first record
Mhm.
and other stuff that I had written. And we sent a bunch over to him. And probably within like 48 hours, like he called me on the phone and he was like, "These suck."
Oh, jeez. Oh no.
I had this one song which I thought was so clever. It was called Big Fish Story or something like
Okay.
that,
Yep.
basically about like false bravado or
Uh-huh.
whatever.
Yep.
And he was like, "I'll be damned if any band of mine has a song with fish in the title." And I was like, okay. So, but I point to that phone call as something that was really important because it kind of like woke us all up
Okay.
and it made us another thing he said because our first record was very inspired by the town where I grew up and where the band formed, Newark,
Mm.
Delaware, which is
Yep.
I say it in the book, it's at the same time it's a college town and a hick town.
That's Delaware for you.
Well, that's definitely Newark, Delaware, as I lived it as a kid. And so like a lot of the songs like kind of like make reference to that world.
Yep.
And the A&R and a couple of the new songs kind of did the same, and the A&R guy was like, "You have to move on from that now.
Oh, okay.
You're now here.
Mhm.
You're at a new level.
Right.
You can't just be writing about your little town in
Mm.
Delaware anymore."
Okay.
So it kind of opened my eyes to like what my songwriting, like what shape it could take after that.
Okay.
And to my bandmates' credit, we also started collaborating more on the
Mhm.
second record.
Okay.
And to me, like the co-writes on the album are among the strongest songs.
Oh, nice. Mhm.
And so that was kind of a cool new experience that helped the band kind of like stay together in that
Yep.
period because obviously some business stuff came into play with the first album. So I got a publishing deal
Okay.
with Warner Chappell.
Oh, wow.
And when you're the songwriter, you technically get all that money.
Yeah, sure, sure. Yep.
So there was like a lot of like
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
grumbling.
Yep.
And I actually ended up cutting pretty big checks to my bandmates
Did you
from
really?
that amount of money because I wanted everybody to still be on board.
That's
And
awesome.
it's kind of like wanting to keep the peace a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit.
sure.
you know, I could second guess that decision too, because, you know, in a little way, like if you do that, you think you're buying maybe like more time or more something with the band, and it ended up that like our second record would be our last.
Right. Now, was that and you know, I hope it's not too personal of a question,
No,
but like, did the band break up just because lack of a successful second record, or?
Well, the band, on the surface, the answer to that is yes. The second record was not successful.
Right.
But the reason that it wasn't successful, in our opinion, so I like 5 minutes ago, I was saying there was a lot of anticipation from the label about our second record. And when we delivered it, everybody at the label was like, this is it. This is going to, I mean, and in my opinion, it's a really good record.
So
and
after the demo part of it, when you delivered the whole album,
we got our shit together, and we wrote a really good record.
Gotcha.
And so, and there was talk about, well, because the radio promotion department is split up into formats.
Yep.
And, you know, the A&R guy said, you know, I talked to so-and-so from Top 40 today, and she really thinks that she could do something with this song Once Upon a Time that's on the record, which was basically like our more acoustic, kind of Oasis-y-esque song. And so, like, when you're in that world, like, things, like, really begin to blow up, you know, because A&M at the time, like, we had seen them do what they were talking about with our contemporaries. So, like, people like Blues Traveler, for example, like, their big record that had Run Around and Hook on it, they were able to take Run Around and take it out of modern rock radio and put it into Top 40, and that band just, like, blew up. Same with like Gin Blossoms, same with Sheryl Crow. So we were like, things are looking great. And then about 2 weeks before our release date, our A&R guy got fired. And he got fired under like pretty unpleasant circumstances. And, you know, 99% of the time, if your A&R guy gets fired, you're kind of lost at sea at any record label, because you've lost your advocate.
Okay. Is he kind of like your manager? Like, what do you mean by A&R guy?
So the A&R guy is the person who is in charge of helping you tailor your material.
Okay.
That's why he had the authority to tell me my songs were shit. And also, he's the person that goes into the meetings and champions you.
Oh, okay.
One thing that we didn't understand in the beginning was that these record companies are extremely political beasts.
Yeah.
Every band's A&R person is in that meeting fighting for a finite amount of resources, and they want it for their band.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yep.
So even if there's like consensus, like, yeah, we should definitely push the Caulfields single, there's still somebody sitting in there like, well, I'm Soundgarden's guy, and we're going to need the next, you know, round of money to go to,
right,
you know, Pretty Noose or whatever. You know?
Yeah.
So we didn't know that. Like, we were kind of like...
Nobody knew that unless you were actually in those rooms.
Yeah, we were kind of sold this idea like, oh, it's a family. A&M is like, you know, and to its credit, I do think that A&M as I guess they were considered like a small major.
Okay.
Because they weren't Columbia. They weren't, you know, a huge, like they kept their number of acts to like a manageable amount. Right. And it was started by a musician. I mean, Herb Alpert was a musician.
Sure.
And, you know, everything that we had heard about the label up to that point was like, this is a musician-friendly, songwriter-friendly label, and it's going to be a good home for you.
Yeah.
And from a creative standpoint, that was true. But from a marketing standpoint, it's still a record label.
Right. They got to make money. They want to make money.
Yeah. And the stakes are high, man.
Sure.
Like, they got to make, you know, that Sheryl Crow record's going to pay for all you other losers not writing hits. So that's the world we were in that
Right.
we were not fully aware of how it worked.
Sure. It's a strange business model when you think about it, because I didn't realize this
No doubt.
until later on in life too, where, you know, your deal and everybody else's deal at the time, they just give you all this money, and you can, you know, and then the expectation is that, okay, well, when you sell 1 million records, you pay that back, and then you're finally making money on your music after you pay that money back. And I didn't realize that until I was like in my 40s. I was like, wait, is that how it really works?
Yeah, well,
So,
you know, I mean, the record contract that we had was pretty standard, and yeah, you have to pay it back.
Yep.
Or technically, you have to pay it back. I didn't actually, like, you're not personally on the hook for it.
Right, but
like
aren't
your band is on the hook for it.
Right.
So if your band
I see. Yep.
breaks up and doesn't exist,
Oh,
they
okay.
can't come after you personally for it.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
But
okay,
you know what a lot of people don't understand about like how record royalties work is that not only do you have to pay back. So I would say that over the course of our time on the label, they probably put in the neighborhood of $500,000 into our band.
Yep.
And the way that that is recouped is through record sales, or at the time, CD sales. But it's only in the neighborhood of maybe a couple dollars per CD.
Right, because everybody else has to get paid.
Because you're actually recouping against your royalty rate, not against like, oh, they made $18 on this. That's $18 that we're paying back. That's not the case.
Right. Yeah.
So it's almost impossible to do unless you go platinum.
Right, unless you're one of these huge stars. Yeah.
So
that's a shame.
That's something that we
set up like that.
Didn't really have a grasp of. You know,
even if you did, though, there's everybody was doing those deals. Everybody was.
I mean, that's also true. Look, we had a great entertainment attorney. He was like a big wig guy from New York, and he explained all these things to us, but he also said, like, well, you can turn it down if you want. And what are you going to do? Go home to Newark and, you know, like, you got to shoot your shot, right?
You got to give it a try.
So, and which is what we did, you know. So, like, so the second record did get released after the guy was fired.
Yep.
And the first single off of that record did okay at radio, but like there was also this thing that was like unspoken, like they're not really putting the pedal to the metal for it.
Okay, that's a shame.
And so we got it in our heads like, well, we need to kickstart this whole thing, and we need to just go out on the road, even though our tour support is gone and all that. And we basically spent whatever was left of the advance money that we got for that record on putting ourselves on tour for about 6 months.
Okay.
And we did play a lot of cool shows, and that part of it was still really good, but it was wearing on the band.
I bet, yeah.
Because, you know, when you go from this and you're riding high, and like it was such a, like, 95 was such a magical year for us.
Yeah, I bet.
And then all these expectations for the next record, and then
right. You're driving yourself in a van.
Yeah. And so, like, it was tough to kind of keep that motivation going over the course of like 6 months of, like, you know, driving out to Minnesota again and doing this and that. And eventually one of our band members, you know, he had been struggling with a drinking problem for years, and it kind of came to a head.
Okay.
And we actually did our last show, which was in Detroit, or the suburbs of Detroit, without him.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then on the way to that show, I broke up the band.
Oh, man.
You know, so, but suffice it to say, like, the Caulfields have reunited numerous times over the years, and we are actually reuniting this fall.
Yeah, you've got a show with the Queen
the last time.
Yep. Is it the original lineup?
It's the 3 guys that played the last show. So that's as original lineup as it gets.
So the guy who had the problem, he's not.
I haven't talked to him since 1999.
Oh, wow, that's a shame.
And I, you know, it is a shame. It really is. But you know, we kind of felt like there was this unfinished business, like when a band, like we just felt like cut off at the knees.
Yep.
And we were like going home, and that led to a lot of soul searching for all of us.
Sure.
But I was like, I can't stop. I can't give up.
Yeah, well, I mean, the proof is, what's the saying? The proof is in the pudding. I mean, you've got so much music out there, right? So before we get onto that, just to button up the Caulfields, so you do have the Whirligig 30th anniversary show coming up at the Queen in Wilmington, Delaware. What's the date of that? 11/13, right?
November 15th.
November 15th, sorry. I can't read my own writing. I got my cheat sheet here.
Oh, there you go. So that show is sold out.
It is. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't know when you might air this.
Couple days.
Okay.
Yeah, a few days.
Well, I'll say it.
Okay.
It's not been announced, but we're also going to be doing a WXPN Free at Noon concert.
Awesome.
The week before that.
Oh,
so
that's awesome.
November 7th.
Okay, cool. November 7th, WXPN Free at Noon.
Yeah.
Where? So
that's at World Cafe Live.
World Cafe. Okay, awesome. And will tickets be available for that as well?
It's free.
Oh, it's free. Okay.
But you do have to still go on Eventbrite and get a ticket and not pay for it. I guess that's how they they keep it organized and everything.
Gotcha. All right, awesome. So everybody look for that. So that's great.
Yeah.
Okay. So from the Caulfields, I know you've got some solo stuff. You were in a band called Ike for a while, right? Was that kind of the second big project, Ike? Or
I would say so, yeah.
Okay.
So right after the Caulfields, I worked on I guess what was a solo record.
Okay.
Called John Faye Power Trip.
Okay.
And I had a couple of friends who musicians who I knew from the Delaware music scene who made that record with me. And we went down to Georgia, which is where I actually came into a new management situation, and I had some friends at a big radio station down there who were still like, we'll still support you. So that was kind of like instrumental in like making that transitional album, which came out in 1999 and was really encouraging for me. It actually outsold the second Caulfields major label record.
Awesome.
And it had, it had a single on it that while it didn't go national, it certainly went regional.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember Y100 had a thing called the Cage Match.
I think so. Yeah,
it's basically like they play two songs and people call in and like, I'm voting for. So this song, which was called Miss Catch 22, won the Y100 Cage Match like awesome. 13 nights in a row.
Wow.
Which impressed their programming director enough to put the song in rotation.
Cool.
And also enter us into like basically like a battle of the bands that they were having.
Yep.
And the prize was you got to open for REM.
Oh, sweet.
In Camden at the
Tweeter Center
at
or whatever.
At the time, it was the E Center.
The E Center, yep.
And we won that contest.
That's fantastic.
All of a sudden, like, I went from like, things are looking pretty bad to like, now I have a song on the radio again in Philly, and I'm opening for REM, and so that kind of kept my spirits up.
Yeah, I bet.
Kept the momentum going, and then the guys that played on that record, and we eventually got a bassist from Philly who like did shows with us. We went down to Atlanta again to make what was supposed to be the second John Faye Power Trip record.
Okay.
And the producer said, you guys should really just call this a band now. Because it's a band.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, you're right. So we, it was, I wish I still had this exchange of ideas with everybody. So we were like, everybody was trying to figure out, well, what can we name the band? And everybody literally hated everybody else's ideas except for their own.
Right.
And it wasn't until like, my wife at the time, was just like, why don't you just name it after like somebody's name? And at the time, we were like really big South Park fans, and the baby's name on South Park is Ike.
Nice.
And she was like, "Name it Ike, and just shut up and quit complaining about all this," you know.
That's
And
perfect.
so that's what happened.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so you guys put out a few albums, I saw.
Yeah. So
right?
Ike existed from like, we had a record out in 2003 all the way up to like 2011.
Oh wow. Okay.
So we were together for 8 years with a couple different incarnations, but
nice.
You know, still all my songs.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that to this day is like my most prolific band that I've been in.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
and we did pretty well, and as you know. Kind of like shifting my mentality over to like, all right, well, I'm definitely like an independent musician now. Like I don't have anything behind me.
Right. No label.
So you have to figure out new ways.
Sure.
You know, so that was actually when like Kickstarter and stuff like that started to become a thing. So I crowdfunded a lot of those records.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And you know, it was cool because it was a way to you know, people feel like they're a part of what you're doing when you do something like that. It's not like, you know, I know a lot of musicians are like, I'm not comfortable asking for a handout or whatever, but I don't think it's a handout. I think it's an agreement to go into something together.
Right.
And, you know, and everybody got their name and the thank yous, you know, because you still had CDs where you could read the credits and everything.
Yeah.
And so that was the beginning of like a whole nother era.
Yeah, like a whole grassroots thing. Right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Awesome. And then after Ike, right? Then do we get into more kind of solo type stuff?
Well,
or have you always been collaborative?
The thing. It's like Ike is my band.
Right.
Like whatever I call it.
Yeah.
I don't really look at a huge delineation between those things.
That makes sense.
You know.
Yep.
It was 100% my songs. And Ike, you know, we had a lot of good fortune with that band. I don't know if you've heard the song Into Philadelphia, but that was a song that WMMR put into regular rotation.
Nice.
And still plays it to this day. Awesome. So it's been on the air for 20 years.
That's fantastic.
And so in some ways, like in Philly, like Ike is more of a known entity than even the Caulfields.
Right. That makes sense. Yep.
So that lasted for a number of years. At the tail end of that, I started this punk garage rock duo called John and Brittany.
Yep.
Which, again, to my great shock, was another thing that kind of like gave me. I feel like I've had 9 lives.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so records that we did really well on like Sirius XM, like Little Steven's Underground Garage. Played a lot of our stuff.
Wow, Little Steven from Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
Right? Yep.
And so that was another kind of cool thing. And then when that ended, that was really kind of like a new turning point. And I did do a solo record in 2015 at the tail after John and Brittany had it finished.
Yep.
That was kind of like, I don't need anybody record. So I literally played everything on it and just you know, I was like, no sounds that are not created by me.
Here's a silly question. Are you like proud of that album or do you? Yeah.
Very proud of it.
Yep. Yeah. Like everything, the way it all, like you're playing and all that stuff.
Yeah. Look, I mean, my drumming on it is perfectly fine. It's not super flashy, but it serves the songs.
Awesome. Yeah.
And plus, if you screw up, you can punch in. You know, it's not like I don't know if there's any takes on that record that are all the way through. You know,
gotcha.
But who cares?
Yeah, right.
You know,
right.
I'm not hung up on that.
Okay.
So yeah, I think I'm very proud of that record, and it was around that time that I started playing with Joey DiTullio, who
I've seen him on Facebook.
Sure
I know you guys are collaborating on a bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
right?
I mean he's sort of been my musical right hand for a pretty long time.
Awesome.
And so when I needed to form a band for that project, he was sort of like the main person that was in all of the iterations.
Okay, cool.
But that was also the beginning of, okay, I don't have a set band for anything.
Okay.
It's kind of a rotating cast of whoever I can rope in.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
I think a lot of musicians are doing that nowadays too. Even like on all levels of success.
I totally agree.
Yeah, it's awesome.
In fact, in Philadelphia, it boggles my mind. There's like a handful of like drummers and bassists and guitarists that like. I'm like, I've seen you with 5 different people this month, and you're kicking ass on all these. Like, how do you learn all that material? Like, it's kind of crazy,
Yeah, sure.
And that's kind of like, I think, maybe with like the younger generation of musicians, it's kind of the mentality. It's like, I gotta just be out there, and wherever I'm needed, I'm gonna like learn the stuff and kill it.
Yeah.
And that's
in today's day and age with music, and if you want to make it a full-time gig, it's kind of like you have to do that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have multiple streams of income, multiple projects, like all that stuff.
No doubt.
And on that note, right, let's talk about the book. When did the book come out? 2 years ago?
Yeah, the book came out in 2023, but like after I did my solo record in 2015, and I basically promoted it the entire following year. That was definitely another crossroads where I was, because I had thought about trying to write a book since like my mom died, which was 2012.
Okay.
And it was around that time I was like, I've had this really good run, from the arguably from the 90s on, like regularly putting out music.
Yep.
But I'm now getting to this point where like I could have another year that's a carbon copy of the year I just had. And there's something in me that doesn't like that idea.
Right.
Like it was a point where like I was like, I think I really would rather something change than something be consistent or secure. There's something in me that like craves having to start over.
Sure.
And so I was like, all right, I'm going to take a stab at writing this book. So that was 5 years of my life.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
With no musical output from like 2017 until like, I would say I wrote a song, I collabed on a song and put it out in 2021. That was my first single in all those years.
Wow.
But the book took from like 2017 to like 2022 to write.
Yep.
All of 2022 to edit.
Okay.
And then it came out in 20, and I had to obviously find a publishing situation for it too.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you that, right? So is it self-published? Did you shop it to publishers?
I did. Okay. So I weirdly in all those years the high-powered music attorney I told you about in the beginning of our discussion had pivoted into books.
Oh wow.
And he is the one who basically cut the deal for Springsteen's Born to Run memoir.
Ah, okay.
And so he was the guy, it's like, all right, hey, I'm back. I got a book. You want to shop it? And he sent it to some people and they all passed.
Okay.
And it didn't surprise me, I mean, my book is it's a memoir about a musician who's not famous.
Right.
But I still have like this collection of experiences that is sort of like fame adjacent.
And they're interesting stories.
And to me, in my opinion, a lot of those stories are more interesting than the cliched, and then we did a pound of blow in the hotel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I knew I had something there.
Yep.
And, the thing that kind of like validated that for me is like I hired an independent editor before landing in the publishing situation that I was in.
Okay.
So he is himself an author and a playwright and also obviously an editor.
Yep.
And when he read my book, like I still have his email to me saved.
Yeah.
Because what he had to say about the story and my writing and all of it, I was like, this is telling me that I didn't waste my time.
That's awesome.
That this is, because you can write stuff and, until he actually read it and had his comments, I was like, I don't know if this is a book. Is this a book? It's just a bunch of shit that I wrote. I'm telling my story, but is it cohesive? Does it have any And so once we landed on the title, because it went through a couple different iterations of a title, once I landed on that title, which is the yin and the yang of it all, it made the whole book make more sense.
That's great.
Because what it is it's a collection of experiences, some of them extremely positive, some of them utterly tragic.
Sure.
And all of those experiences combined make up a life.
Right.
And, my take on all of that is that you can't fully enjoy or appreciate the good things that happen in your life without the things that have pulled you back down.
Very true. Yeah.
And so once I kind of was like, yeah, that's the thread. That's what holds all this stuff together. Then I was like, yes, I think that this is compelling.
Yep.
So we ended up with a publishing situation that overall I'm pretty happy with. Like the marketing department at this publisher was really good, and they knew how to do stuff that I didn't know how to do.
Well, that's good. That's
good.
Good.
Like selling a book on Amazon, for example. So like they were like, okay, well, we're going to put your book in these categories on Amazon, and we're going to make sure we do a pre-sale. And so by the time the book was actually released, it already hit #1.
Oh, wow.
So then that gives me the ability to say, hey, motherfuckers, I have a #1 bestseller on Amazon.
There you go.
and that, just by being able to say that, you open all these other doors.
Yeah.
Great. So their marketing department was brilliant. The PR department, which is separate, which is supposed to like get you like interviewed and get your articles, they were kind of like, but I was able to get a lot of that myself just through my own connections. So I would say that like I'm very happy with like how the book has been responded to, and it's allowed me to actually incorporate that into how I perform now. So I've been doing a lot of shows, or Joey and I in particular, we do a lot of what we call songs and stories shows.
Okay.
Which is basically like me telling stories directly from the book over a music bed.
Okay. Awesome.
That he plays.
That's
and
great.
So it's like semi-improvised. It's different every time.
That's fantastic.
Which is really, it's super fun for us, and we've been doing it at lots of schools actually.
Oh, okay, cool.
So
cool.
it's kind of like a whole new way to perform.
That's great. That's great. I have a question for you. It might sound a little bit weird, and I don't like to box people in, but I'm really interested in what your answer would be. When I listen to your music, I have an idea of like genre. What would you call your genre?
I've spent my whole life trying to avoid that question, to be honest with you. I mean, no, it's only because I feel like if I don't expect anyone to ever do this, but if you listened to the like over 8 hours of recorded music that I have in the world,
you have a ton out there. That's
it kind of varies.
It does. Sound a lot different.
I get pegged a lot with power pop.
Okay.
Which, is fine because to me, the definition of that is like Beatles influenced melodic rock music.
Yep. Yeah, it works.
Like, and I love, a lot of those bands. I mean, when I was a kid, like I was very into Cheap Trick, very into Blondie, like those kinds of bands are the kind of music that I still love. And I'm fine with that, but also like I think that's way too narrow.
Yeah.
Of a thing, and weirdly enough, like I think we're now, and trust me when I tell you, I hate everything about Spotify.
Me too.
But one thing that I think might be kind of an interesting development in the impact that has had on how people listen to music is I think that we've kind of like graduated from genre a little bit.
I think you're right.
You know, like, which is why, so many like known artists can go out and make this recording, like, oh, they did like a country rap song. Interesting.
Yeah, that's a good
but
point.
it's still them,
Yeah.
So, I mean, I do understand the value of like being able to like describe what you do to people so that they can kind of like put it in a context.
Right.
But, I mean, even it's so weird, because when, I don't know how old you are, but like,
52.
okay, so
Mhm.
we're both in our 50s.
Mhm.
When we were growing up, I mean, rock music was the default
It was.
music.
Yeah, yep.
That's
No
no
matter
longer
who it
the
was.
that's no longer the case. So
Yeah.
if like a Gen Z person is like, "Oh, what kind of music do you do?"
Yeah.
And I say, "It's rock music." Oh. Like you can actually get away with saying you're just rock
Right,
music and
right.
that actually like means something.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
I mean, I don't I'm fine with whatever label people want to
Yeah.
call it,
Okay. Yep.
as and most of the time they use power pop,
Okay.
or
Yep.
sometimes I get indie rock.
Yeah.
But what does all that actually mean?
Right, it's yeah.
I mean, if I was going to compare myself to like other artists from maybe that era, I would say that I'm very much a kindred of artists like Matthew Sweet,
Oh, right. Yep. Mhm.
um, the Smithereens.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
those are my favorite
I
bands
was gonna
in
say
that
these are
world.
are these your influences? Because I always ask people who their influences
I
are,
mean, I
so
think it's very fair to say that I was musically influenced a lot by the Smithereens,
Mhm.
uh, which is to say that the Caulfields were,
Yep.
because Smithereens are basically like a late '80s, early '90s band,
Mhm.
um, and the Caulfields were formed in '92,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so that's what I was
Sure.
listening to a lot
Mhm.
at that time. But like I would also say that like older like bands that came before that, even
Mhm.
like, yeah, I do really think like Cheap Trick is a big blueprint for, like, I mean, I'm always trying to write Surrender.
Okay.
Like I want to write something as
Yeah,
good as
right?
Surrender.
Yep.
That's always
Yep.
the goal.
Sure.
Because it has everything that I like about music.
Mhm.
It's energetic. It's got rock guitars. It's
Yep.
got a hook to die for,
Mhm.
and that's kind of what
Absolutely.
I'm trying to do.
Yeah, very cool.
But yeah, I mean, but my tastes, as I said before, are pretty broad. I mean, I may not be incorporating, uh, you know, the Sex Pistols or whatever
Yeah,
into like what I'm doing, but like
right.
I think like the attitude of a lot of bands that I listened to growing up still sticks with me. Like the
Cool.
Clash
Yep.
is a huge influence on me,
Okay.
but not you can't hear it in my music,
Mhm.
but it's kind of in the way that I look at the world
Yeah, I
and
hear you.
approach things, you know.
Yep. Yep.
And so it's interesting. Tom Petty's another one.
Yeah, he's great.
Like you can't beat that
Sure,
guy.
sure. As far as your writing goes, is it I assume, and I'm gonna cheat a little bit because I am taking a kind of lifting a question from that other interview you did.
Hmm.
Your songwriting is very biographical, right? A
it
lot of
it
personal
it it
experiences.
it became that
Okay.
over time,
Yep.
and I guess like if you look at the Caulfields' first record as like the starting point of my career, then
Mhm.
it has been that way the whole time.
Okay.
But
Gotcha.
leading up to that, and I have a whole part in my book about how um I was really struggling early on as a songwriter,
Okay.
to write what I would now consider something honest.
Okay.
you know, because I would say that that's partly just lack of experience or lack of life experience,
Sure.
or the I think it also takes a little bit of guts
It
to
does.
lay yourself bare in a
Absolutely.
song,
Yep.
which I didn't have yet.
Some
So
people don't have it now.
some people don't have it now. I'm glad that I broke through that wall, and when I don't know if you were aware that I taught songwriting
Yes.
at
Yep.
Drexel
Yep.
for a number of years, and that would be something that I would say all the time. Like
Mhm.
day one, I was like, this is not about. I mean, yes, we're going to talk about the craft of how you write a verse versus a chorus and that
Sure.
kind of thing. But my goal for you guys is to break through to that place where you can write something honest about
Yep.
yourself, or put yourself into it. I mean, it doesn't have to be like autobiographical in a very linear sense,
Right, right.
but you know, you have to put something of your experience, whether that's oh, I'm in pain, or I'm in love, or I'm pissed, or whatever.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to kind of like tap into those things fearlessly.
Yeah. Yep.
And I obviously that can take a lot of different forms, and you don't always succeed
Sure.
doing that. But yeah, I would say in general, I write about my life.
That's great.
And well, it might be great, it might not. I don't know.
Well, you're doing pretty good so far.
Yeah, I mean, look, every time I write a personal song, the same question arises before I play it for anybody. Is like, is this like gonna elicit like the all right. Enough about you,
I have a similar. Now, I don't have nearly the songs released like that you do, or songs written. Everybody knows me as the cover guy. But I do have a handful of songs that I've written, and I write occasionally, but every time I start a new song, 99% of the time it's some sad, sappy song because like I'm trying to like get some kind of emotion out or something. And whenever I'm feeling the urge to like write or be creative, it's always because something's going on inside that I need to get out.
Yeah.
So it's always, a lot of it's sad stuff.
Right. Well, look.
A lot of times I'm like, oh, here comes another sad song.
Right. And I think that all songwriters worth their salt have that feeling, like, because there's a line between emotional and what I'll call like maudlin, which is more like woe is me-ism.
Yeah.
Like, you can be sad, but don't cross this line, which I don't know what exactly would be the thing that would cross the line, but
you'll know when you see it.
You know when it happens. It's like, I'll give you an example. There are two songs from our youth that kind of like make me think about this. One is All by Myself by Eric Carmen. And the other one is Alone Again, Naturally. Do you remember that one? Alone Again, Naturally.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
My mom didn't feed me dinner. I'm like, Jesus Christ. It's like freaking Oliver Twist in a pop song over here, and that's what I want to avoid.
Right.
Or Seasons in the Sun.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're saying.
So like I said, there's this line that you have to walk but never fall over into that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, where are we now? So,
where do you go from talking about Seasons in the Sun? You probably didn't think that would be referred to.
We're gonna segue
in this discussion.
We're gonna segue right into Swing and Miss.
Swing and a Miss. Yes.
So that's your latest release, right?
Yes. So that's a song that I co-wrote, collaborated with a good friend of mine, Aaron Fox.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I tell everybody, look, man, this is an Aaron Fox song that she was just nice enough to like let me help a little bit.
The video's hilarious.
Yeah, thank you. That was like, to me, like, I love the song a lot, and I'm very proud of it and very happy that Erin chose to include me in the making of it. I mean, she came to me. It's basically like 90% written.
Okay.
And the only thing that musically, I contributed some ideas for like arrangement and the little riff in the beginning.
Nice.
Which I came to realize after it was too late. I was like, that's kind of like a Bach ripoff or something. It's like, like if you ever heard the first Tenacious D album, like, this is Bach, Bach is a rock, Bach, Bach.
I didn't even realize.
Yeah. Well, you don't realize until it's too late. And then you just have to fess up, But
but it's Bach, so it's royalty free.
That's
good.
Right, public domain, baby. So I don't know, but yeah, I really dig the song, and we had the best time making that video.
Yeah, it was
great. So
the whole Bad News Bear genre,
right.
The parody. It's great.
It's very rare to find a friend who is in their 30s who loves the Bad News Bears.
Yeah, I'm surprised she even knows who they are.
When we started talking about it, I was like, "You like that movie?" She's like, "Oh yeah, it's one of my favorites." I'm like, "Hell yeah."
That's awesome.
And so I was like, "We got to do the video," like, you know. So like I totally leaned into like my Walter Matthau impersonation, and
yeah, those sideburns.
yeah. So like, that's the thing I love about like making music videos is like my whole attitude about it is like the stupider the better.
It was great.
You know, it's like I ordered these like fake sideburns from like, you know, whatever the Halloween store online or whatever.
Right.
And I'm just like, well, what do I trim? I'm just gonna like stick them on like wholesale. Just put them in there, you know. And it worked out.
Where I'm curious where that was filmed, because I think I saw a Costco in the back or something.
I don't think there's a Costco. So this was actually filmed in Trevose, PA.
Oh, okay, all right.
So it's a old, crusty like Little League field.
Yeah.
That, in a very cool way, is kind of like beneath an embankment from the road.
Yeah, it looked like it was in like a big hole in the ground.
Yeah, so it's like we were like, we could go here and film this whole video and nobody would even see us here.
Yeah,
so we were like, that's the place to do it. But they also had like an unlocked, you know, like behind the backstop, there's like the big wooden thing that you open up and it's got like the catcher's pads and the knee things. And we were like, all right, we're just going to like take this stuff and use
hilarious.
it. And it was great. It was, and so we had all these friends who are most, if not all, fellow Philly musicians. And we all we said was like, "You want to come make this music video with us?" And they were like, "Well, what do we have to do?" You just have to play baseball badly.
I'm in.
And they were all in. Yes, for no doubt.
That's great.
There's this one scene in it where our friend Garrett, like, he had hit a ball and broke the bat.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if you knew, but Joey DiTullio directed this video.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. So Joey DiTullio walks up to me. He's like, "You know what would be funny, dude? You should crack the bat, like finish the job, crack the bat over your leg." He's like, "All right." So he cracks the bat, and this
is
shard...
the splinter real? The splinter's real?
This shard of wood goes and lands in his thigh, and we're all just mortified.
I totally thought that was just fake,
dude.
But I was like,
it's all real. It's just, and we're like. There's a lot more blood that happened than you see in that. He kind of wiped it away.
Right. Oh my God.
And we were like,
great.
Oh my God.
So
you know,
fun.
but he's the kind of guy that's just like, I'm just going to rip it out. And Joey's like, wait. Okay.
Yeah, right. Again, because I'm looking at him like, wait, I was like, that can't be real. And then when he pulled it out, I'm like, that kind of looked real.
It's absolutely like, I mean,
fantastic.
Wood that we had the foresight to be like, we're going to have like a giant piece of wood fly into your leg. No, it was a happy accident.
That's great.
For all involved.
Yeah, right. That's so funny.
Yeah,
anyway,
it was a lot of fun.
Good stuff. You're going to play some songs for us, right?
I think so. Sure.
Yeah, usually we do two. So what songs do you think you're going to play for us?
Well, I am pretty open to suggestions. I mean,
I think we should probably do Swing and a Miss.
Well, I can't do that without Erin.
Okay. All right.
She's a singer.
All right. No problem. Whatever you want to do.
I would rather do maybe like a Caulfields song and then maybe like an unreleased song. Would that?
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, we could do a little world premiere here.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
All right.
You're all over social media, right? It's all just under John Faye.
I would just say, if you're interested in coming to see me play, my website, which is johnfaye.com, is updated by me as often as possible. And we do have like a pretty cool John Faye band gig coming up on October 10th in Wilmington, Delaware at the Chase Center on the waterfront, which is with Low Cut Connie, which is going to be a really fun night.
And that whole area is great. So
yeah,
like,
and I'm also starting to play the Iron Hill Brewery down there on the riverfront as well.
Yep.
So I'm actually playing there on the Friday before that gig. So
awesome.
October 3rd, I'll be at the Iron Hill, and then back down by the river on the 10th to open for Loca Kami.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Right.
Well, John, thank you so much for doing the podcast.
It's been super fun. Thanks,
yeah, man,
Dave.
I enjoyed it. Thank
really
you so much.
It.
Awesome.
This is the Caulfields' first single from 1995 called Devil's Diary. Here in Hell's Hammock, just thinking of deviltry, planning white panics, a hat that's so old. I'd rather write about her in my diary. Could she be mine without selling her soul? Pretty deeds from a demon seed don't excite me anymore. Is there one girl, just one girl, who says I'm bigger than Jesus now? And I love her, I'm bigger than Jesus now. Up above her, I'm stage diving off the church of the holier than thou. Oh, I'm bigger than Jesus now. Well, he's got his uptight white virginal followers. I've got these metal chicks dumber than rocks. Dated one once, but I hated the music, and all her ex-boyfriends were there on the bus. It's never good to be understood by a girl in acid wash. And God only knows what it is that I really want. I guess I could ask, but he's not the best confidant. Puts me down in the biblical sense in this basement apartment with help to pay rent. But there's one girl, just one girl, who says I'm bigger than Jesus now. And I love her, I'm bigger than Jesus now. Up above her, I'm stage diving off the church of the holier than thou. Oh, I'm bigger than Jesus now. I'm bigger than Jesus now. I know there's one girl, just one girl, who says I'm bigger than Jesus now. And I love her, I'm bigger than Jesus now. Up above her, I'm stage diving off the church of the holier than thou. Oh, I'm bigger than Jesus now. Oh, I'm bigger than Jesus now. All right.
I love it.
One down.
That was awesome.
Thank you. So this song is one of my new originals, and I'm trying to think of what to say about it. It is, as we were talking about earlier, very much ripped from my life. It's called The Hill. It takes determination and all my might to push the boulder of my
am.